day 12. I've tried something different with the lighting and I've realised it's not the light I'm using, it's actually my camera. So if I get close enough, I can see me in my glasses. So I'm not quite sure how I'm supposed to eliminate that. I'm not very good as far as the technology side is concerned. But welcome to day 12 anyway. Try and ignore that reflection, please. I could do it without my glasses, but then I do struggle to see the screen, so it's easier this way. So it is day 12 of my Rosie's Moments, but I'm also going to have a look at some yarn that I've got here. Now, let's look at colour. The lighting changes now, isn't it? It's really weird. There we go, it's changed back again. It's like my camera's changing the lighting. I'm not quite sure how it does that. But as you can see, it's got a slub in it and it is absolutely gorgeous soft. We have a burnt slub edition and it's a fingering weight, so it's a 10 gram amount of yarn, but there's 40 meters on there. So for me, who makes doll items, this is perfect. I can get quite a lot out of it. So if you're wanting bits and bobs, she does lots of little sort of treats like this. So definitely worth having a look at. Oh, there she is. Is that back to front? That's really cool. Yeah, back to front. But it's what I must have made anyway. Let's get on to this number 12. Oh, I've rearranged this again and again and again, and it's getting less and less now. So it's getting exciting. Number 12. We're almost halfway there. There we go. We'll get in there eventually. Let's have a look. See. Oh, I have to be careful when I've opened this one because it's in like a little package. So what have I got? Oh, that is lovely. How cute is that? Now again, it's in the packet, so you're going to get shine. So I'm going to take it out of the packet as well. It's basically a gorgeous little felted paperclip. Obviously it's a gingerbread man, so we've got our Christmas theme there. And there's also some little stickers in the back. So let's get in so you can actually see it without a reflection. These packaging are great because I use them myself, but they're not great when you can't see it. Right, here we go. So again, have some adorable little stickers. We have some details regarding the person who did it. Let's have a look. dorkyplannergirls.com. When two words blend into one, you're always not quite sure what it says. But yes, it's dorkyplannergirls.com. So let's see if we can see this a little bit better because it's very cute. Can you see that cute little face? And you can see the paper clip underneath. Not quite sure why the light keeps changing. That is very annoying. One day I'll be able to afford to get a posh camera to do this, but not just yet. So we're going to move on to our tutorial in a second. Thank you for watching. If you're already watching for the yarn bit, say hi again. And on to the crochet tutorial next. So see you soon. Bye. Hi, day 12. Very busy table here, as you can see. I'll show you the project first because I'm going to slide it on my hand. We have a little fingerless glove there. Really simple, granny square based. We're going to be doing it in this gorgeous Riot yarn, so that's what we're going to be doing for our project today. For that, as I say, I have a double knit yarn here, which is a Riot, that is called a Riot, and I have my scissors, etc. My number 12. Regarding Advent, this wasn't out in my Advent, but I did show you this on my Advent, my gorgeous What Mustard Made yarn. I love it. I really do need to work out what I'm doing with that, and all of them, to be honest. There's so many yarns, it's just so exciting. And also actually in my Advent I got this is absolutely adorable. Can you see it? It's like a little paper clip by Dorky Planner Girls, and I've also got some little stickers in there, some little Christmassy stickers. I think that is really nice. There's some details there regarding it. It looks like it's an Etsy store, so if you're wanting to pop over and see what else they've got, in fact it's something I will do because I think this is so cute. So that was my Advent for today from I can't even speak today, from my Rosie's Moments, so I'm pleased about that. And I say I'm a gorgeous yarn. My stitch marker today is a What Mustard Made one. It's not Christmassy, but look at his little face. He's a gorgeous cute teddy bear with a heart, so I really like that one because I am going to use a stitch marker today. So we will move all the little bits we don't really need. Don't really need the needles just yet, or my scissors. I do need my 3.5mm crochet hook though, and my double knit yarn. We don't really need the stitch marker at the moment. Now I've actually started this because basically it's 2 granny squares. Now I'm going to show you how to make this. Again, I'm sure you know how to make a granny square, so it's quite easy. It's basically 5 rows of a granny square with a double crochet round. And you need to sort of measure it on your hand before you finish it. My hands are pretty medium size, I would say. They're not large, they're not small, somewhere in the middle. So I know that fits to my thumb and to the side. Now it needs to stretch a little bit, so it needs to be a little bit tight when you put it together. But because it will loosen with wear, because it is an acrylic yarn and it will stretch, which is great because obviously you want that movement, but I would make it a little bit tight. You may need to add on an extra row if your hands are slightly larger, or you may need to keep down an extra row if you've got really slim hands. Everybody's different, or if you're doing it for a child, you can take it down almost to measure to the child's hand. So basically, if you think in line with the little finger on this side here, then it allows for a little bit of stretch. So we're going to get that done. Some of you, as I say, will be able to just skip forward and just do the granny square, which is great, but there are a lot of you out there that are beginners, and I would like to sort of take it from Mark 1 with them. Now, with it being a variegated yarn, as you can see, that side's got very purple and that side's sort of more green and subtle. This one's come out very green, so each glove's going to be different, but I sort of quite like that one, like this. I mean, this is going to be very grey from what I can see on the variation, but we'll see what happens. You can always play about with that. So our slip knot is started, and we are going to start with 6 chain. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. I will comment, this is a very thin yarn for a double knit, so again that will make a difference to what you're actually making. But again, with the granny square, you just make it as big as you want. Just use the guides that I've mentioned for your hand. So we do a slip stitch to make that little loop that we always do for a granny square. We're then going to do our 3 chain, which we always start with our granny square. Trebles, 2, because remember that 3 chain will count as our first treble, so that gives you 3 trebles there. We're going to do our 2 chain, and we're going to do 3 trebles. Again, I'm doing this because there are some people out there that are beginners who want to have a go, and perhaps they haven't done it before. If you're really unsure with the granny square, I have got a tutorial on there. In fact, I might link it at the end of this one for those who are sort of not sure. But it is so easy. It's definitely a project any beginner can do. The rib sometimes throws people out. In fact, I've had arguments with people when they've seen my gloves I've made in the past and going, "Oh, have you knitted that?" And they're like, "No, it's all crochet." Because yes, you can rib with crochet, even though people do argue you can't. But I think that's a pretty good rib. It's quite a chunky rib, I must admit. I don't think you get much of a fine rib, but it is quite chunky, but it is nice. Now on this, I have done 3 trebles, 2 chain, 3 trebles, 2 chain, until we have 4 sets. So there's 1, 2, 3 sets, 4 sets. Now for my join, I'm not going to do a slip stitch join, as I've mentioned before, because I don't want it to end over here. I want it to end in the center. 2 ways of doing that, depending on your space required. You can do a half treble, or you can do a double crochet. I'm going to go for a half treble in this case. So yarn around into the top of that 3 chain. Remember, you have 3, pull it through all 3. That's brought me relatively central. You may find you need a double crochet if you want it a little bit tighter. So we're going to do our 3 chain. We're going to do our 2 trebles. Now this is a corner. Remember, we have our 4 corners for this one. I know I did 5 on my last tutorial, but we've got a 4 here. So 2 chain in between and 3 trebles into the same space. So it's 3 trebles, 2 chain, 3 trebles into a corner. So there's a corner. We've got 4 of those, so we're going to do the same in the next 3. Oh, just jump, over we go, 3 trebles. To be honest, you don't need to follow me at my speed if you're not sure. You can actually just listen. I will explain what each round is, and you just do the same all the way round. Or you can slow me down on the settings, that's the other option. 1, 2 and 3. I'm sure most of you now have probably got the knack of a granny square. and they're probably just whizzing through a 5 round granny scare for me. Scare, it could be a scare. Right, here we go. If it goes wrong, it's a scare. So that's 3, 2 chain, and 3 trebles. I'm very pleased to see I've already seen my first hat made by somebody. It's a lady who does watch the tutorials, and it is absolutely gorgeous. It's so sweet. I love the colours as well. She's done it and she shared it on Instagram with me, which is really nice. I do like to see what people have done. So thank you for watching. Right, this is all on a corner. So remember, every single corner is 3 trebles, 2 chain, 3 trebles. That is it. Right, we're back here now to join. Because it's a side, I'm just going to do a double crochet. I did a slip stitch yesterday. In fact, maybe, no, I will do a slip stitch on this. I want to keep it nice and tight, so I will do a slip stitch. Sometimes a double crochet is required depending on what you're doing. The more granny squares you do, the more you will make it suit you, because there's so many different versions out there. This is definitely not the only one. There's lots of options, and you might find this one doesn't suit you, but you might find another one does. So as long as you're doing a granny square, 3 chain, remember. Now we're a side, so on a side it's only ever 3 trebles. We're going to jump to the corner. Remember, a corner, 3 trebles, 2 chain, 3 trebles. But as I was saying, there's so many different methods. So if you're happy with the one you do, just whiz out a nice granny square of 5 rows. Check your measurements. Make sure it's going to suit yourself. I say my hands are pretty average. We've got a side next, so it's just 3. So it probably will fit most people. It's only problem if you're doing them as a gift. You're never quite sure what size someone's hands are. You have to guess a little bit. If it's a secret gift, you don't want to be measuring the hands, otherwise they'll wonder what you're up to. So we're on a corner again. 3, 2 chain, and 3. When I undo my wool a little bit, it will be. That's the first one. Still seem to be staying on grey. I think it's about to change, but I think it's just going to go to a dark grey. Like I said, that's the thing sometimes with variegated yarn. Sometimes that patterning works, sometimes it doesn't. I don't mind it. I like the fact that it's different. Yeah, going into a dark grey now. Don't know what colour will be coming after that. It'd be nice to see some purples in there, but I've got a feeling I might not. Right, so it might be worth, if you're making the pair, which you probably will be, to make all 4 squares and then decide which squares you want on the top to be more visible. Because I'm going to have one quite neutral glove and one quite pinky glove. I'm looking at the yarn now, I can't see any major colours coming out. There is a big batch of purple, but that might end up coming on my cuff. But again, it blends, and that's what I like about it. So that was a side, so that was just 3. So remember, if it's a side, it's just 3. If it's a corner, 3, 2, 3. So we're on a corner now. I think they're quite addictive, granny squares. They're one of those that you can sort of get on with, and when you get into your crochet a little bit, if you're a beginner, it's a great way of doing it, and you can just make so many different things just by extending the square and just keep going round and round and round. Oh, I think we might. No, I don't think we'll go into a green then. I don't think I am. So remember, I decided to do a slip stitch join, keep it nice and tight, 3 chain because it's the start, and in with these trebles. Now each square is not going to take a long time. The cuff, it depends on how long you want the cuff. It could end up taking a little while. Right, have 2 side ones, you see, side and side, and then we're going to move on to that corner. We're still in quite a, that's not a stitch, it's still quite a subtle grey at the moment. Good job, I like greys and greens. I think the beauty of greys is you can put absolutely anything with it. Mind you, green's the same really. It's quite a neutral colour. And in this case, this is going into, will be going into a pinky purple eventually. Now, this is the one that I did the scarf in. This is exactly the same yarn as the scarf was made in. Not that I've finished my scarf yet. The theory is it will get finished, but Christmas is coming, so gifts, etc., etc., and of course tutorials are coming first. and then at some point I may get my scarf during the summer. No, it's not that much to do now, it's quite long, but I do need to do the edging on it. And that is the longest bit. It's the tedious bit, but well worth it. I always recommend you edging your scarves. It just makes them a little bit stiffer and sort of a little bit more professional finish rather than just doing the rows before. You can leave it at that if you want. It's just my personal choice. So we've already got 1, 2, 3. This is the 4th. So we're not doing too bad. If you just fast forwarded on this, you've probably whizzed this square out already. So you'll have to fast forward to the next part. I'm going to be doing a little bit of the sewing up. We do need to show that, because you do need a bit of positioning there. It is sewn up, it's not crocheted together. So this is a corner. Still no sign of colour change. I don't know whether it's slightly more green, this grey. I can't make up my mind. And obviously your colours might not show up quite the same. There's got to be some purple soon. I think it's going to be on the cuff. I can't make up my mind whether to have the grey one or the green one on the top, because obviously I've already made the other glove, so I have to use these two to do it. But after experiencing that, I would recommend you get all 4 done and then decide which is your tops or your gloves, because it makes a difference on what you're doing with your sewing up. So where were we? This is the last round, the last one for that one. Yep, slip stitch join. We're now going to be on our last round, so 3 chain to start. Oh, 15% on my power on my phone. I hope it behaves. Should have thought about charging it before. That's because I just jumped in to do the tutorial rather than having a good check at what I'm up to. Bit of a rush today. Got my granddaughter's nativity this afternoon. They're only 4-year-olds, so it's going to be so cute. And she's actually got a speaking line, so that'll be fun. They just can't not like me. Don't matter whether they go wrong or anything at their age. They're just so cute. And they try so hard and they're so proud of themselves. But like I say, we're on our final round now. If my battery runs out, I'll be doing this in 2 pieces. I hope it doesn't. Oh, I think I might have some purple coming up soon. Come on, purple. Because this is changing. The grey is changing, sort of more of a slightly lilac-y grey. Again, I'm not 100% sure that you can sort of see that on here, but in the light that I'm looking at it, I can see there's a very, very slight pink hue, maybe a heathery sort of colour starting to come through. Corner. My smart doll pattern's been quite popular that I did yesterday, so I will be doing another one. I'm hoping to have a smart doll bag out on one of the advents. Might consider doing it in one of the new 4-plies that I've got, because they're such gorgeous colours. So just that it takes a little bit longer, that's the only problem with 4-ply, but I think I know what I'm going to do as a design, so I think it might work. I think 4-ply is a good choice of yarn for most doll things. Oh, this has definitely got a pinky hue to it now. Can you see? Is it changing for you guys? Not 100% sure. Need to pull that tight after as well in the middle of it. That's better. Because we're nearly round. I've only got to get round to here. So I'm on a corner at the moment. So if it's a corner, it's 3 trebles. 2 chain, 3 trebles. 1, 2. 1, 2, and 3. Side, just 3. Just a reminder, there's no chains at all in my work apart from in that corner. If you traditionally do make a granny square with the chains in between, if you want to do that, by all means, just watch your sizing, because it will make it slightly looser, so you do need to keep checking. I know I can safely say I'm doing 5 because that's what I've done on the others. So last corner. Oh, it's definitely lilac. Last bit. And slip stitch join. Right, I'm going to do a double crochet round, so I'm going to chain up, and into every single stitch I am going to do a double crochet. A little bit tedious, I know this. You can go into the space if you wish. I am actually going into the stitch with this one because that is the effect that I do want. Sometimes I want more definition, so I will double crochet into the space, but for now I'm not. I'm going into each stitch because this is the effect that I want. You see, it's going to have a nice pink edge now. Right, I've got to a corner now. I'm going to do 3 in the corner. 1, 2 and 3. Now be careful, because sometimes you cover up this stitch and you want this stitch, otherwise your corner will be a bit curvy. There we go. For a long time I did that. I can remember I was doing a big triangle, and I just couldn't work out why the shape was changing. It wasn't consisting of that triangle that I wanted, and it was because I was missing that stitch that ends up getting hidden when you do X amount of stitches into a corner space. So it is important you do check that you're not missing it. It's very easy to miss though, believe you me. It took me ages to realise what I'd done wrong. So I'm in a corner, so I'm doing 3. 1, 2 and 3. Remember this one here, don't tuck it underneath. See, so my corners sort of sit quite flat. If I'd missed that one, it would just start to curve it round a little bit, which I don't want. There may be a scenario where that's required, but not for this particular one. So I'm on my last bit. I'm going to have to sew up, so you will have to persevere while I sew up, because I need these 2 squares attached before I pick up the stitches. One of the main reasons I have a double crochet round here is because it edges it nicely and it makes it nice and neat for stitching. So you will have to decide on the sizing, whether you miss more of these and do a couple of double crochet rows instead. So it's purely going to decide on your hand size, but just make sure it's nice and tight. This one has stretched a bit because I've been putting it on and off. Almost round. It's got a nice pretty purple edge now. I thought the purple would start coming when I was doing the edge. Now there's no right or wrong whether you do the top or the bottom on this. You can decide on which one. I will show you one way, and it's up to you which one you want to get out the way. So you can make it a really nice long glove by doing a longer rib, and you can do a nice turnover on it. But that does take a little while. And as much as I would quite like that myself, to make the cuff area a bit chunkier, but for showing you for this purpose, it's need to keep it a little bit shorter. Right, we're there. So I'm just going to do a slip stitch join, grab my scissors, and fasten off. Right, sewing in time. Now this one is clearly, I want that on the top, so that means that's got to be my thumb side. So I'm going to keep that on a second, and we've got to decide. I think because the purple started coming out on this one, I'm going to make this my top. So let's get rid of some of these pointers. The centre ones first. Quite easy to sew up these. So I need to keep an eye on that battery life, because really I need to decide where to stop if I think it's going to run out. So all I'm doing is running the yarn around, because this has got a bit of a fluff to it. It has a tendency to stay where you want it because the yarn tangles in itself. I'll take the centre for this one as well, because I might use these other ends for sewing up yet. Wherever you can use an end to sew up rather than bringing in a new piece of yarn, it makes life a little bit easier, and again creates one less sort of piece to sew in. If we can avoid sewing in, we do. because I don't know about you, but it's not my favourite hobby, sewing in. As much as I find it satisfying when it's done, I don't actually like doing it. Right, so what I decided that was going to be my top, wasn't it? So let's have a think. So I'm going to lay that one out that way for a second, and let's have a look at this one. So that's going to be underneath. So I need to sew them in this way. You can sew them the other way if you wish. In fact, shall I do that way? It might be easier for you to see. So if I'm putting that there, I need my thumb this side. Yeah. So I'm going to change that round so I can have that bit there to sew in. What basically I'm doing is I'm going to be sewing in, can you see, about 1 inch from the top, and then maybe only what, 1 centimetre there. It's enough for me to fit my thumb through. Again, your thumb's positioning might be slightly different, so that's something to watch for. Oh, where's that come from? I have no idea. So let's have a go on this, because if you look, that is from about 1 inch down, so I might as well use this bit of yarn to sew that up. I mean, you don't have to, you could have got rid of all this and just, perhaps I'm complicating it a bit here, so I'll go it that way. So I'm going to line these two up, so they're both, the right side's out, and I'm going to pick up, can you see this side? So the outer sides I'm picking up. What's my phone doing? Okay, nothing exciting. A call from Bristol. I don't know anybody in Bristol, so I'm not answering it. So I'm just picking up, just having a look which way I did that one. Yeah, that will do me. So it's up to you. There are two different ways of doing this. You either pick up the outer and the outer, or the inner, move that, the inner and the inner. Now I've started on outer and outer. I'll do a couple inner and inner because this is only mine just to show you. So it creates a slightly different effect. Not much difference, to be perfectly honest. Right, I'm going to say that looks about the same there. So I'm going to fasten off. I'm going to thread my yarns through. Make sure they're nice and solid. And turn it over and thread it through again, because I'm a little bit obsessed with threading things through, because I'm worried about them coming undone. There we go. You don't have to do it that many times, that's just my choice. Ta-da! So that is the top bit. So if I lay it out now and double check, yeah, I think that's comfortable. So now I need to just stitch that bottom bit. So I am going to have to take a little bit of yarn off my ball and thread that through. It does create more ends, but obviously you don't have a choice. I'm hoping me having the glove on's not distracting. In fact, let me take the glove off. I think it possibly is distracting. So let's have a look. So that's the top, and I said about 1 centimetre here. Yeah, so where shall I start? I'll go for the inner again, but what I'm going to have to do, because I'm starting this fresh, is I'm going to tie a knot. And we'll sew that in afterwards, okay? So it's not a problem, it just needs sewing in. So I'm going to pick up, I'll go inner and inner again. Doesn't really matter, whichever way suits your sewing up. You can do it inside out, you can do it top sort of sewing like this, it doesn't matter. And I think that will do. It's only a few stitches, that one. So tie it off, tie it off. I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to thread it through. So a little bit of over threading for me, but that's just me. Trim it off and take it out. Right, let's have a look. I might need that back in actually. So which side did I say? Yeah, I wanted it that way, so let's have a look how that's sitting. Yeah, that's okay, that suits me. So now I need to stitch this long side together. Now don't know whether that's enough thread. We'll use it for a while, might as well use it up while it's actually attached. So I think what I'm going to do is run it through to the top and start at the top. Ta-da! Right, so here we go. 1, So just like an over sewing action. It's nothing exciting, nothing particularly special. You just sew up however you would want to sew this up. I think I've picked up 2 bits there, but that doesn't matter. Right, over we go. I'm perhaps rushing this a little bit more than I should. Take your time when you're doing it. Make sure all your stitches are nice and neat. I wonder if I'll get it out of this. I'm not going to, am I? Oh, I might. Might be a good thing to remember when you do fasten off your yarn. Leave yourself some nice long ends and you can use it for sewing up. I think it's just done it. Look at that. Well, maybe one more. Sorted. Nice and tight. 1, 2. Turn it inside out and thread it through. It's a longer bit to thread through this time, so it's a little bit more solid. And we'll trim that off. Now, of course, we have this little bit left from that, so I suppose we better get rid of that. It makes it a little bit easier for you to see if I do get rid of all the edges. So I'll push it through to the other side and thread 1. And this time I'm going to just take it across the top because I'm going to be picking up those top stitches. Let me move over. I'm being a bit of a pain bringing it towards me. Right. Lovely. Right, so we now have the basic shape. So I want this one, this side. Okay, so that's nice and comfy there. So I now need to pick up this way and this way. I'm not going to do it all, each end, because you're not necessarily going to want to sit and watch me do that. But I'm just going to go through the basics with you. I might change my colours a little bit, but as I say, this is for me, so it doesn't matter. So I'm going to start here on the inner. I'm going to go in, I'm going to pick this yarn up. Or not. Pull it. It doesn't want to come through. Behave. Pull it through, do a chain, and do a double crochet into its base again. Just anchors it a little bit better. And we're going to do a double crochet, picking up every single stitch. This is why, because we edged it with a double crochet, it's easy now because we're just going into the top of that stitch. I'm just going to do 1 round just to sort of give you an idea of where it's going. I think I'm catching some yarn there, that's it. Because this end is easy. It's the other end that, if you've not done it, to create the rib is a little bit different. It's not hard, it's just a little different. Going over these top bits a little bit harder as well. You have to really force them in. So we need to level it up. After a couple of rounds that levels up nicely, so don't worry if there's a bit of a dip. In we go. Now I'm going to have to roll some of the yarn off here because I don't really want to sort of stop with one colour and then start with another. Not that it would really matter. This also tightens it up. It's a great way of tightening it up. Again, depending on your finger length, will depend on how many of these rows you want to do. We're nearly round. A couple more stitches. You see it's already tightening it up, right? You sometimes have to have a fight to get in that last one there. That's it. And then slip stitch into the first one. Or we didn't just continue round in a spiral form. But can you see it's how it's already pulling it in? So I'm actually not going to do any more of that one. Let me slide it on my hands this way around because that's my top now. So, but can you see how it's tightened it up across my fingers? I will then continue to the length I want. You may want it all the way down to here, so you would continue down. You may not want much at all. I mean, if you continue further down, you can actually join if you wished. I think it might be a bit tight to do that. So I'm just going to wind a bit of this wool off now because I need that for a few more rounds. So let's pull this yarn out. That should do, I think. Leaves me a little bit of lilac for the other end. So I'm just going to wind this into a little ball. And I'm going to keep that for that end because it's more important I show you the other end. So, and we go. round and round and round and round and round, and done. So I'm going to say that is going to be for the rest of that end, but I want to show you this bit. This is the more important one. Your first round of this is a treble, nothing more, nothing less, just a basic treble. So let's sneak into there. See, we're at the other end now. We're going to do a chain. We're going to do a double crochet into the base. It's just purely for anchoring. Because that's a double crochet, I'm only going to do 2 chain there. We're going to do 1 treble into every one of the stitches. Let's move that out the way, it's catching. That's it. I suppose I could have crocheted it in actually. All the way around. So your first round is just a treble round. It's the second round where the rib pattern starts to begin. And that is the one that is more important for me to show you. And this is the one that's going to go up your wrist, and you can do it to whatever length you require. This is a very basic fingerless glove. There are lots of other ways again. There's probably hundreds of patterns out there. But this is a nice, quick, simple one. Nice little gift perhaps. I think it's a great one for beginners to start making garments. I'm not a big garment fan myself. I'm more accessories, as you will see from some of the projects I do, and obviously sort of little amigurumi critters and my dolly things. That one's a difficult one. Can you see it's only picking up that part stitch? I want more than that. I need to pick up both parts. So if it takes a second, that will do. So just trebles. It's always harder to go over those joins. Yeah, that'll be okay. We're almost round. I'm back from the nativity. It's not a break for you guys, but I am back and I'm hoping this is still in the right position. So we did a 1 treble round. We're going to start with 3 chain because these are still trebles that we're going to be doing, but they're going to be front loop and back loop. So we're either going round behind for the stitch or in from the back and round. So I will show you what I mean. So a treble, we wrap round. So this here, where my thumb is going to be the first stitch. So it's going to go underneath it. Yeah, we grab the yarn, we pull it through, and then we do what we do for a treble. Pull through 2, pull through 2. Okay, so this time we're going to come in from the back around the next one. And pull it through like a treble. So this time we're coming in from the front. So yarn round, in, behind, pull through, then 2 and 2, just like a treble. The next one, yarn round, but from the back across the front of the stitch, and 2 and 2. So we're actually going either around the post from the front or around the post from the back. So the next one's from the front, so yarn around, it goes in from the front, around the back of the post, we grab the yarn and we pull it through, 2 and 2. Next one's coming in from the back, so wrap from the back around the front. This one's harder to pull through, so you do have to be careful, and 2 and 2. Next one from the front round the back, pull it through. Next one's from the back round the hook, from the back over the front of the post. I sort of hold it, I sort of like pinch it there, and then when I grab it, it comes through easier. So I'll just like squish it a little bit. So the next one is going from the front round the back, grab the yarn, pull it through, 2 and 2. So it's only a treble, it's just positioning of that treble. Yarn round from the back over the front, and you're alternating, one from the front, one from the back. So we're from the front, goes round the back of the post, and we pull it through. This one from the back over the front of the post and pull it back. Now the first round, well, it's a little bit, you know, getting used to where your stitches are. After you've done that first round, you can see where the stitches are easier. So I'm going to go a little bit faster. If you need to check that little bit I've just done, maybe go through it again and just watch sort of how I do it if it's something you're not used to. So the front and back loop trebles, you'll see them in a pattern. And you know, to be honest, I've still not worked out which is front and which is back, apart from the fact one, you come in from the front but then you go round the back of the stitch. But then the other one, you come in from the back and go round the front of it. It's one of those that one person says it's one way and another person says it's the other. I'm not worried. All I care about is that I alternate them. You could do a double one though. You could do a rib where you have two of the same, then two of the other, so you get a different type of rib, and you can play with the idea of the rib. But essentially, for a basic rib, you're going to have one that goes in from the front and one that goes in from the back. The one that comes in from the front's the easier one. The one where you come in from the back, it is a case of sort of nipping it together to make sure you don't catch, because it's very easy to catch the wool on that back one. But the more you do it, and after this first round, it's not so bad anyway. Let's have a look. I have not got the faintest idea how long this has all taken, because obviously I had that little break. Hopefully not too long. And I'm not going to do all this rib. I'm just going to show you how on the next round it's easy to see. As long as you've made sure you're alternating one from the front, one from the back, you will get a rib. Now, I'm not going to overly worry about quantity, because in theory you need an even amount of stitches to get that. But it's not the end of the world if you didn't. Let's have a look. That's why I've started in the thumb area, because it doesn't really matter then if you do that. So from the front, and we're round. Oh no, look at that. Be careful on this. Let's check where that goes. So that chain is above that. So this stitch still is required. So we're going to go from the back, pull it through, treble, treble. Right, so now actually that's timed quite nicely. So I'm going to go in the top of the 3 chain and I'm going to do a slip stitch. Then I'm going to do the 3 chain. Each round will start with the 3 chain as always. Now if you look, can you see how this one stands proud? So it's easy to get in that way. The other one stands back, which makes it easy to get in that way. So it sort of positions you now, so you don't have to overly think it. So the one that stands proud, yarn round, you go behind it, because that feels easy. Where then the other one, we turn and it's at the back. Still a little bit harder, the back one, but it's obvious which one it is. So this one stands proud, so we go in from the front and round the back of it. This one doesn't, so it means we go in the back, round the front of it, and pull it through. As I say, it's that back one that does take a little bit of concentration. And I say, can you see, I'm nipping to make sure I can get it through. You'll develop your own way of doing that. Let's have a little look where we are. So I'm not going to do too much more, because you don't need to see me do it, because I've actually got it on here as an example. But can you see what's happening? We are forming a line. So on the next round again, if it stands proud, you're going to go behind. If it's at the back, you come from the back. So proud from the front and round, back from the back and round. I think that's how we can look at it from there. And you're going to develop it until it's at the length you want. I think this could have done with being a little bit longer personally. Let's have another little look at it where it positions. Yeah. Maybe. I think maybe a little bit longer. I would have liked it to sort of cuff back, so maybe double that distance, so I could actually turn the cuff back. It's not long enough to do that, but it would have been nice for that. So again, you do the length you want for your hand. Everybody's is different. Again, the length you want, you could take it quite high and just leave it like that, or fold it back. Entirely up to you. So the other thing I will mention is some people go, but you've got no thumb. Now you don't have to have a thumb. If you really want a thumb, basically you have to pick up these stitches around. I'm going to put that to one side and we'll have a little look. I'm not too worried about breaking the yarn for that one. Let's have a look. I've got all these half finished products. I really do need to get it done. I'm going to start at the bottom. So this is around the thumb hole. If you want to do this, I don't always bother. Sometimes it looks nice just maybe to do a slip stitch round. That can look quite neat then. So remember before I sort of went in, I did a chain and then a DC to hold it. So if you went all the way around, you can start to build your thumb up. Sometimes just one round is enough. Like I say, I'm not going to make a big thing about this. This is a totally optional thing. If you've made gloves before, you'll know how to do this. If you're a beginner, all I'm doing is going to go round, double crochet, maybe twice. If you do it a longer thumb, you do need to think about shaping, but we're not worrying about that just yet. I want this product so everybody can do it. Can you see how it's starting to shape a little bit more? So it stands out rather than just being flat. So I think it just makes it a little bit neater. So let's carry on round. All I'm doing with that other bit is sort of crocheting it in as I go. That will not bother now. Right, round we go. So round the top. And we can have a little look at what it looks like then. So we'll go all the way around just the once, so you can get an idea of what I'm referring to. I think it is nice to at least edge it. I've got to finish at least one of them because I need to take a photograph of it to put on the thumbnail. There's no point having a thumbnail without the item on, so I will finish this one, and then while I'm starting to upload the video. I think what I'll probably do is maybe 2 rounds, and that'll do for me. I don't really want a big thumb. I'm not bothered about that. I haven't got fingers in it, and I like to be able to move my hands. I'm not very fond of gloves. I'm not fond of being cold either, but I just don't really want gloves on my hands. So fingerless ones keeps part of my hands warm at the same time. So I'm round. I'm round. So you can see it just makes the edge a little bit neater, and it sort of stands out as well. So if I slide it on now, and that looks a little bit neater. I think it does, just to go round the edge. So you could just do it the once, or maybe 2. I might just do 1 more just to make the thumb a little bit prouder so it stands out a little bit. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you sort of understand how simple it is, and please have a go at this rib. I absolutely love the rib. I've used it on so many different techniques, whether it be fine or whether it be chunky yarn. It's a great thing to have a go at, and it proves that you can actually rib if you crochet. So I'm going to leave the tutorial at that. I hope you're going to have a go. I think they'll make quite cute presents. Sort of a little stocking filler type present to throw in there. And I just realised I've not actually plugged, look at that, I've not plugged my microphone in. So I'm hoping it's not picking up too much background noise, so it might sound a little bit different to the first part, but it's quite quiet in here, so hopefully you'll be okay. So please like, subscribe and share if you enjoy it, and please click on that notification bell for my next tutorials and my continuation of Vlogmas, and I will see you very soon. Bye.